Hello, yogis and yoginis. Welcome to class number 3 for the chair yoga for lower back discomfort. We're going to try yet another set of poses that'll help us loosen up those muscles in the lower back, help us to feel better in that area if we're having any challenges there. And I do want to note that if you are not having challenges in the lower back, that's okay. You can still use this practice because it still moves the body in all of its intended ranges of motion, so it can still be a valuable piece of the practices that you use throughout the week. So whether you're having back discomfort or not, I hope that you'll give this one a try. So let's sit up nice and tall on the chair, 2 feet firmly planted on the ground beneath us, engaging our abdominals. Let's start to unwind through the shoulders here, lifting the shoulders up as high as is comfortable and then rolling them back and down. And once we get into a good feeling of rolling those shoulders back and feeling the chest opening, then we can start to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, signaling the body that it's time to bring our focus within. It's time to bring ourselves to this present moment, right here, right now, putting all other stray thoughts aside. And when I feel like my shoulders are good and unwound, I'll relax them back and down one last time, sitting up tall on the chair, lifting up through the crown of the head. So we're using our very best posture, engaging our abdominals, and we're sitting in an active seated position. Even though we're not moving, we're sitting in an active way rather than just sitting in a cozy way. So I hope you can tell what the difference is. So let's sit up nice and tall, shining forward from our heart center, just shining with gratitude, grateful for this day, grateful for this body and this breath that carries us through every moment of our day, and grateful for this time here on the mat, the time that is just for us. So if you'd like, you can close your eyes here if you feel comfortable doing so. Closing the eyes can be a wonderful way to block out distractions when you're trying to bring your focus within. It's also a wonderful way to rest the eyes after they've been serving us all day. And as we put our stray thoughts aside and we bring our focus to this present moment, we might start to notice our forehead relaxing, smoothing away. Our eyes, cheeks, and mouth are relaxing. Relaxing through the neck and the shoulders. Feeling our connection to this wonderful earth beneath the soles of our feet. Trying to draw good positive energy up from the earth, allowing it to fill all parts of this physical body. Acknowledging that we share the same energy as the grass that's growing under our feet, as the wind that blows across the body, and as the birds that are singing in the trees. And we remind ourselves that as we move through this practice tonight, we always want to listen to the body at all times, easing up whenever we need to, and giving ourselves more of a challenge whenever we want to. And as you continue to watch these yoga videos, and even yoga videos from other instructors, we start to get a feel for what we like in our practice. We also start to get a feel for different options that we can always weave in whenever we'd like to, because we're always trying to create a practice that suits us best. And that's going to keep us coming back to the mat to give our body all of this good body work, movement, and relaxation for the whole body and the brain. So let's take a few more cleansing and centering breaths here. Now when we're ready, let's slowly open our eyes. Now let's inhale tall through the posture, and on the exhale, let's turn the head very gently to look over one shoulder. And on my next inhale, I'm going to look up as a bird looks up out of its nest. And then I'll lower that chin, come on back to the center. On the exhale, let's turn the head in the opposite direction. Inhaling, lifting up as a bird looks out of its nest. And then coming back down. Turning back toward the center. Now, let's try it again. Let's inhale tall. On the exhale, let's turn the head over to one side. On the inhale, let's look up. And on the exhale, bring the chin down. Turning back to the center. Let's inhale. And on the exhale, turning the head in the opposite direction. Inhale, looking up as a bird looks out of its nest. Exhaling down and turning the head back toward the center. Rolling our shoulders back here. On the next inhale, let's inhale one long arm reaching up toward the sky, and on the exhale, we bring it back down. Inhaling the other arm up, reaching long, then exhaling back along the body. One more time on each side, and then we'll make a little change. Just starting to lubricate through the shoulder joints here. Now you can stay right here with those long arm reaches, or lift one arm up to shoulder height, palm down, then turn it up and lift all the way up. And on the exhale, we lower to shoulder height, turn the palm down, continuing down. So inhale to shoulder height, turn the palm up. Exhaling down to shoulder height and exhale it on down. These are what I call our snow angel arms. And that little twist at shoulder height where we turn the palm up, or on the way down, we're turning it down. Those are the keys to good shoulder health. One more time on each side. Now this time, let's inhale the left arm all the way up, reaching as high as you can, and then exhale the arm back down. Inhaling the right arm up, reach up high, then exhale all the way down. And notice that we're still sitting up tall on the chair, keeping our abdominals engaged, nice and long through the arms. Couple more times on each side. Now when you're ready, let's take both arms back. Reach behind yourself like you're holding on to a big beach ball. You've got a little arch in the back and the chest is feeling very open. And then round through the spine with a big tree hug. Inhaling and opening up through the chest. Exhaling, rounding with that tree hug. Just a nice back and forth movement for the spine, starting to invite some of those good synovial fluids in to lubricate the spine. Now, one of the things that we know is that as we get older, the amount of synovial fluids in the body, those lubricants, tends to decrease. And as much as I wish we could pull up to a gas station and fill up with some more synovial fluids, unfortunately we cannot. So the best thing we can do for the body is to move it in all of its intended ranges of motion so we can get those fluids spread out to all the joints, using those fluids as best we can, regardless of how much we have at all of our stages of life. One more time with a big tree hug here. Coming all the way back to the center, let's sit up nice and tall. A little bit of our tea kettle reaches here. Let's inhale, engaging the abdominals. On the exhale, a little reach over to the side. On the inhale, use your trunk here. Lift, 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 lift. And on the exhale, reaching over to the other side. Inhale, lifting, lifting up tall. Exhale, reaching to the side. Inhaling up, exhaling as you reach. Lifting as we inhale, reaching as we exhale. One more time on each side. Now let's roll our shoulders back. On the inhale, let's lift the left arm to shoulder height. Watching the tips of our fingers, we gently twist to the side. Inhaling back to the center, then exhaling down. Let's try the other side. Inhale to shoulder height. Watch the tips of those fingers. Inhaling back to the center and exhaling down. A lateral raise with a gentle twist. Couple more on each side. One more time on each side here. Now let's use our leg extension work here. Let's inhale, reach those long legs out in front of you, And on the exhale, bring it back. Inhale, extending the leg. Exhale, bring it down. And remember, we want to try to flex the foot that we're lifting so that we're lengthening all the muscles behind the leg as well. And we're always mindful to stay up nice and upright here. Let's not get cozy through the spine. Let's be active here. And again, these long leg extensions are really just a wonderful way to lubricate the knee joints, getting those synovial fluids into the joints, almost as if we're spraying in a little WD-40 there. So even if you're just at the office or you're at home watching TV, these are some easy ways to lubricate your knees, because everybody benefits from good lubricated joints. Everybody. So whenever you can, get those synovial fluids moving, whether it's in yoga or it's just at home or at your workplace, do it. People might look at you a little differently, but your knees are going to be loving you and they're going to be serving you well. Now, let's extend one long leg up, holding it up there. Let's circle here through the ankles. Stretching out the muscles, again, lubricating the joint. Now, when you're ready, reverse that circle. And if it's not comfortable to circle at the ankles, you could use a windshield wiper movement as well. Just wave that ankle side to side. Now let's point and flex through the whole foot here. Just a few more times. I know the legs might be getting fatigued. Now let's switch to the other side. Lift. Start to circle at the ankle here, or wave it side to side, whichever feels better for you. And if you're using a circle pattern, let's remember to reverse it. Come back to that point and flex. All right, let's place both feet here flat on the ground. Now, let's use a little bit of our airplane flow today. Let's roll the shoulders back. Chest is nice and open. The arms are reaching down on the diagonals, palms forward. Let's inhale, engaging our abdominals. And on the exhale, hinge forward with your jet wings behind you, palms down. And on the inhale, we lift up with strong abdominals and raise those arms in front of us. So let's exhale, hinging forward. Inhale, rise up tall. Exhaling and hinging. Inhale, rise up. Exhaling down. Inhaling, lifting those arms in front of us. Just two more of these airplane flows. Let's hinge forward, wings behind us. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hinging down. Inhale, rising up. Now let's lift those arms overhead. Inhaling up. Swan diving down to a forward fold, and just reach as far as you can. Now on the inhale, we lift the back to a 45-degree angle for monkey, and then we exhale down to forward fold. Rising tall as we inhale, swan diving to forward fold. Inhaling, lifting to monkey. Exhale, down to forward fold. Rising tall as we inhale. Swan diving down. Inhaling to monkey. Exhale, forward fold. Rising tall as we inhale. Keep these sun salutations going. We're going to start to build some good heat in the body. few more times through. Last time using our seated sun salutation. Now let's bring those arms all the way down and let's pick up one leg here. Inhale as you step over to the side. Exhale, bring it back in. Inhale, step out over to the other side. Exhale as you bring it back. So these are just hip opening movements. Just stepping out to the side, then bring it back in. And again, this movement can be as small or as large as is comfortable for you and your hips. Again, trying to irrigate that joint with some good lubricating fluids from the body. Couple more times on each side. Last time on each side here. Now come on back here. Let's move a little bit forward on the chair and let's take a wide stance with the feet. Again, this is a fine way on its own just to open up the hips. We're going to use side angle flow. So let's inhale the arms up to shoulder height, palms down. Let's exhale as we come into a side bend. Inhale, lift, lift, lift with your trunk, palms down. Exhale, turn that left palm up as you bring it over the shoulder height. Exhale, bring it back. So we're exhaling here as we bend. We inhale, rising up. Exhaling and bending. Inhale, lifting through the torso. This is our flowing side angle pose. Still building heat because it's a flowing movement. Getting those wonderful side bends for the spine. How about one more of these flowing side angles? Coming all the way back to the center. Let's relax the shoulders down away from the ears. Now, if you want to stay seated for this next part, just keep the feet nice and wide as you are, as wide as is comfortable for your hips. If you'd like to stand up beside the chair, you can join me there. So I'm going to take a wide stance here now on my mat. And when I'm standing, it's very important that I have good spinal alignment. So when I bend my knees, I want to make sure that they're heading in the same direction as my toes, and I can see my toes down there. If I had my feet too close together, for one, it's not very comfortable in the hips when I do this, and I'm creating more balance work than I need, and it could become precarious as well. So take a wide stance, as wide as your hips are comfortable going, okay? When you're ready, let's all inhale the arms up, reach those arms for the sky, and on the exhale, let's bring the elbows in toward the ribs for moonflowers. Inhaling, arms up. One more of these moonflowers. Inhaling, arms up. Now let's bend through the knees, hinge forward and gather like you're picking up a big watermelon. And on the inhale, rise up. Exhale, hinging forward, grab that watermelon. Inhale and rise, palms touch. And on the exhale, bring the hands to the heart. Inhaling, arms up as high as is comfortable. Exhale the hands to heart center. Let's go back to moonflowers. Exhaling, elbows toward ribs. We're going to do 2 of these total. Exhale, one more moonflower. Now let's turn them into hinging sunflowers 2 times. Now from here, prayer flow 2 times through. Coming back to moonflowers. Two hinging sunflowers with a nice flat back. Prayer flow. Coming back to moonflowers. Using these flowing movements to warm up through the body. And remember, if you're getting too warm to where you're feeling dizzy or nauseous or just not feeling very comfortable, first start to breathe out through your mouth. If that doesn't help to regulate your temperature, then try to sit down and take a drink of water. That's always helpful. One more time using this moonflower, sunflower, and prayer flow. So 2 moonflowers, 2 hinging sunflowers, and 2 prayer flows. Now let's bring those arms all the way back down. Let's step the feet to hips distance apart here. Now we're going to do a little bit more with chest expansion. So I'm just going to turn to the side of my mat that doesn't have my chair in the way if I'm standing. If I'm seated, I'm just going to face forward on the chair with my feet hips distance apart. So let's just reach back, holding on to that imaginary beach ball behind us here. Now when you're ready, let's inhale tall, hinge forward with a little bend in the knees if you'd like. Now if you're working through vertigo or you're working through some high blood pressure or glaucoma, I want you to keep your chest parallel to the ground. If those are not a concern for you, you can continue to hinge further down. Let's take 3 more breaths with this chest expansion pose. Now when you're ready, swan dive the arms down to a forward fold. And on the inhale, let's lift up to monkey. If you're standing, that's got a flat back rather than 45 degrees. And then we sink on back down to forward fold. Rise up tall as you inhale. Swan diving down. Inhaling, lifting to monkey with a nice strong back and belly. Exhale, forward fold. Rise tall as you inhale. Swan diving down. Inhaling, lifting to monkey. Exhale, down to forward fold. Rise tall as you inhale and swan dive down. Inhaling, lifting to monkey. Exhaling, forward fold. Rising tall. Last time through. Now let's bring these arms all the way back down and let's roll the shoulders back. Now we're going to do a little bit of behind the back work here. So I'd like you to take your right arm and just reach it behind your back, whether you're seated or standing. And I want you to check in with this right shoulder. If it's feeling good and challenged and you don't want to add anything more here, then just stay just like this. If this is not comfortable and it's too much range of motion for you, maybe just ease that arm out. Just so it's not as deep a range of motion, but it's still a chest opener. And the last option, if you're feeling like you want a little more here, more of a challenge in a good way, maybe I'll hold on to my opposite arm. All of us sitting up or standing up tall. Now let's release the bind if that's what you're using. Inhale that right arm straight up to the sky and bend at the elbow, trying to give yourself a pat on the back. If you're not able to reach the shoulders, that's okay. Just reach toward them. And maybe I'll add my other hand, guiding that elbow a little closer to the midline of the body. Now, on a side note here, when you try to move that elbow closer, something very big is going to get in the way, and that's our head. I want you to keep your head where it is. We want to keep the crown lifted for good spinal alignment. So let's not try to move the head forward so we can get deeper in the shoulder work, because then that would just be like throwing our spinal alignment by the wayside. So keep the head lifted and just stop when your head gets in the way. Now let's take the left arm down and then the right. Let's take that left arm across the lower back. Check in with this shoulder. See what it's looking for today. Less of a challenge, I want to loosen up here. More of a challenge, then I'm going to bind with my other arm. And notice how when we put our hands behind the back, whether we're binding or not, we are opening this chest up, and that is a wonderful gift for the body, especially when our regular lives often have us rounding forward from the shoulders. What a wonderful way to open up. And you can do this just browsing at the magazines at the grocery store while you're waiting to pay. So you don't have to be in a yoga studio, you don't have to be on your yoga mat to use these tools to your body's advantage. Now let's relax the left arm for a moment. Pick that left arm up high, reach to the sky, bend at the elbow. Maybe add that other hand, guiding the elbow a little closer to the midline of the body. Now let's relax the right arm and then the left, rolling the shoulders back and down. Now let's go ahead and take our left arm, reach it all the way across the chest, and use your right arm to hug it in close. So now we're kind of stretching the shoulders out in the opposite direction with a half knot. And I always like to imagine someone's holding on to my wrist and pulling my arm out to its longest length here. Let's take 3 more breaths. Now when you're ready, relax your half knot. Take that right arm across, reach long first, and then hug that arm in close. Now let's relax our half knot. Let's inhale the left arm up, reach as high as is comfortable to elongate the spine, and then a side bend. We're gonna hold it here, but continue to keep breathing. Whenever we're holding a pose, sometimes it's tempting to hold the breath when we're working hard, but always try to keep breathing as deeply as is comfortable for you. Now on the next inhale, remember, use these trunk muscles. Inhale, lift, 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 and relax that arm down. Inhale, the right arm up, reach up high, 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 and then a side bend. On the next inhale, lift, 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 lift with the trunk. Relax those arms down. Roll those shoulders back. So by about this point in our class, we should be feeling wide open through the chest, rising up to our tallest height. We should be buzzing with some good, healthy energy here. Now, this is the part of our class where we're going to do some behind the chair work. So if you'd like to join me in this, let's turn our seat cushion away from us. Make sure that you have all four legs of your chair on your mat here. That way, when we do a little bit more of our downward dog and plank flow options, the chair ideally is going to have a little bit of grip under that, with that mat underneath. So we're going to step up to the back of the chair here. Let's start off with just a nice downward dog stretch. So holding on to my chair back, I'm going to start to walk myself back, and I feel my torso naturally hinging forward. Both feet flat on the ground, and we're pressing back through the tailbone. Imagine that you're pushing a coffee table closed with your bottom. I want you to reach back with the tailbone and keep the abdominals strong here. Now, if you'd like, you can wag that dog's tail gently side to side just by moving the hips. I know it might seem silly, but it is a wonderful way to stretch out through the spine. And after all, that's what we're going for with this particular theme of these three classes. Now let's bring those hips back to the center. Walk yourself up to the back of the chair. And I always come back and roll the shoulders down, so we're standing tall again. Now, look down at your feet, and you'll notice that when we stand hips distance apart on our mat, our feet are probably just about as wide as the legs of our chair. So bear that in mind. That's going to help us with some of our alignment work for a good sturdy pose. So I'm going to hold on to my chair here, and we're stepping back with our right leg as far back, let's start with the left leg. Step as far back as you can with that whole left foot connecting to the ground. We've got a good bend in our front knee. It's stacked right above the ankle, and I can see my toes down there. If I couldn't see my toes, that would tell me that I'm bending too far through the knees. So stack the ankle and the knees, one on top of the other, looking straight ahead. My hip bones are facing forward, the navel, the shoulders, and the head. This is warrior one. Now I'm going to let go of my chair with one hand, still using a couple fingers here on the chair for some stability help. Engaging my abdominals will help with balance as well. And if I want to let go of the chair with my other hand, maybe I will. I can always come back. Every once in a while, it's a good idea to kind of try to let go a little bit and see what happens. We can always come back. So I'm still facing forward, abdominals engaged, looking straight ahead. This is Warrior One. Let's take one more breath. Now here, I like to hold on to the chair when I transition from Warrior One to Warrior Two, but it is not required. I'm gonna leave that left foot where it is. Excuse me, the right foot where it is. I'm gonna pick up my left foot and step back. So now, it's like I'm standing on a balance beam. Both feet are in line with my right chair leg. My right toes are facing forward, my left foot is parallel to the back of the mat, and I'm looking out over my left middle finger for Warrior Two. We still have that good bend in the knees here. And I find my focus at the tip of my left middle finger. And if I want a little movement, maybe I'll add a flow here. Gently inhaling, arms overhead, then exhaling back to the bend in the knee. Lifting as I inhale, exhaling down. Just a few more breaths in Warrior Two. Last time. Coming back to Warrior Two. Now here, I'm going to turn my left palm up to the sky, and I'm going to reach forward a little bit, and then gently, gently tilt back into Reverse Warrior. My left hand is resting on my left leg. The right arm is skyward. If I look up to those high fingertips, that's an added balance challenge. So it's up to you if you want to do that or not. You could certainly look straight ahead or right past your front arm. One more breath. Now let's come on back to Warrior Two. Now let's straighten the front leg very gently. Reach that the right arm forward. Rest that hand on your chair and lift the other arm skyward. Triangle pose. We're going to turn that high palm outward. So anybody who would walk by might give us a high five. That's where the placement of your hand is in triangle. We're engaging the trunk and we're rotating those shoulders back. Now when you're ready, use the trunk, lift, 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 back to Warrior Two. Step all the way up to the back of the chair. And here again, we can step back for Downward Dog. Now I'm going to add another option here. You can either stand still in Downward Dog, which is one of my favorite options, or if you want a little bit of a flow here, you might add a plank flow. So on the next inhale, I could come forward onto my tiptoes, engaging my abdominals, shoulders are in line with the wrists, and then I come all the way back to Downward Dog. Again, we could inhale forward, and then exhale back to Downward Dog. Now, if it's not comfortable for your shoulders to move from Downward Dog to plank, then by all means, we can stay still and get that same luxurious lengthening of the spine in Downward Dog. one more of these plank flows, which are a good way to heat up the practice. And then when you're ready, let's step up to the back of the chair. So this time we'll do all the warrior poses on the other side of the body. So let's see if I can get the legs and the feet straight this time. Standing tall, let's step back with our right foot as far back as I can step with my whole right foot connecting to the ground. And if I look at the chair legs, my left foot is still in good alignment with my chair leg. And even though my right foot is further back, it's still lined up with that chair leg, which is telling me that I'm still using that good hips distance apart foundation for the pose that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna look straight ahead, deciding if I wanna hold on to the chair or not. Regardless if I'm holding on or not, everybody is engaging the abdominals. Everybody is nice and tall from the hips all the way up through the crown of the head, and we're all looking out into the distance with a soft gaze through the eyes. Now when I'm ready, I'm going to put my left hand on top of the chair. I'm going to pick up my right foot and step back into Warrior Two. Looking out over the right shoulder if I'm holding on to the chair here, or if I'm letting go, I'll look out over that right middle finger. Reaching my arms out to their longest length and relaxing through the shoulders. Let's inhale the arms overhead. And on the exhale, back to Warrior Two. Three more breaths. Last one. Coming back to Warrior Two, let's turn that left palm up toward the sky, reach forward, and then tilt the upper body back. So the left arm is rising, the right hand is resting on the right leg. This is our reverse warrior. Now let's come back to Warrior Two, straightening that left leg gently. Reach the left arm forward like you're looking over the edge of a mountain, and I'm going to rest my left hand on the chair top and reach my right arm skyward. So this time the palm of my hand is facing down the long right side of the mat, and I'm rotating the shoulders back. Now when you're ready, let's lift, 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 lift. Relax the arms down and step all the way up to the back of the chair here. One more option for downward dog. So remember, you can stand still, you can add a plank flow, or we can add another version of a sun salutation. So I'm going to show you that here now. So it's yogi's choice which option you want to choose. So I'm going to show you this new version. We'll inhale the arms up, and on the exhale, connect to the chair and step back for downward dog. Now on the next inhale, I'm going to come forward to one plank, and then I'm going to go back to downward dog. This time, let's come forward to another plank, and then come on back to downward dog. Stepping up to the back of the chair, let's inhale, arms overhead, and then sit down into chair flow like you're sitting in a chair behind you. Now, if I want to hold on to my seat here for stability, I certainly can. Let's lift arms overhead, swan dive as you exhale, and step back for downward dog. Inhaling forward to plank number one. Exhaling back. Inhale again to another plank. Exhaling back. Inhale, step up to the chair, arms overhead, and on the exhale, sitting back into chair pose. Inhaling, arms up. Swan dive as you exhale and step back for downward dog. Inhaling to plank. Exhaling back. Another plank here as we inhale. Exhaling back. Stepping up to the back of the chair, let's inhale, arms overhead, and on the exhale, sit back into a chair pose. Inhaling, arms up. Last time, let's exhale, stepping back, downward dog. Inhaling to plank one, exhaling back. Another plank here, and exhaling back. Come on up to the back of the chair, lift arms overhead as we inhale and exhale into a chair pose. Inhaling, arms up, and let's bring those arms all the way back down. Now, take a drink here if you have one. And actually, all through class, if you're ever thirsty, take a drink whenever you need one. You can always pause the video too if you need more of a chance to get back to the next pose. Okay, so next we're going to do a little balance work with Warrior 3. So first I'm going to show you what Warrior 3 looks like without the chair. You're certainly welcome to turn away from your chair and do Warrior 3 with the full length of your mat. I'm also going to show a version that uses the chair as a stability tool, but it's going to be a little bit hard to see when I'm facing you. So that's why I'm going to show you what it's all looking like from the side, and then when we do it beside the chair, you'll kind of know what is expected or what the pose is supposed to be, even if you can't see it all on this angle. So Warrior 3 has us hinging forward from the hip and finding our balance on one leg. Now, if you're guarding your hips, one or the other, and if you'd rather use an airplane hinge here, let me show you what that is. Airplane hinge, remember, has 2 feet on the ground. We inhale with the arms pointing down on the diagonal, palms forward, and on the exhale, we hinge forward with a flat back. The arms are reaching behind us and the palms face down. That is our airplane hinge. So if you're guarding one hip or the other or both, use airplane hinge. Lock in the abdominals and find your good length in the spine there. If you want to try Warrior 3, here's what it's going to look like. So I'm going to start off by taking one set of toes just slightly behind me. Let me get out of the tree limbs here. So I'm going to get solid and firm in my foundation on the foot that's staying on the ground. And actually, I might turn this way because I don't want to stick the legs out and knock over the chair. So let's do this. My toes are slightly behind me. My other foot is grounded as the supporting leg. I like to start with hands on hips. So I inhale tall, engaging the abdominals. And on the exhale, with a little bend in the knee, I start to hinge forward from the hips, trying to bring the chest about parallel to the ground, okay? And you might take your arms out to the side like airplane wings, Or for more of a balance challenge, maybe take those arms long in front of you. Now, when I do it with my chair, I like to stand beside the chair. So I'm going to turn the chair forward. I stand beside my chair, and that way I can hold on to it with one hand if I'd like. Now, I'm outside tonight, so I'm trying to find some even ground, but if you're on a flat surface at home, you're probably not going to have to search around as much as I am here. So standing beside my chair, I'm going to keep the leg closest to my chair exactly where it is. I'm going to take those other toes slightly behind me. I'm going to put that free hand at the hip. Let's inhale tall, engaging our abdominals, and on the exhale, tilting forward from the hips. Now I'm holding on to my chair for support. I'm looking down at the ground to keep my head in line with the spine, and the foot that's in the air is flexed, so I'm stretching out all those leg muscles. Maybe I'll take my free hand out to the side like an airplane wing, and if I want to let go of the chair, maybe I'll take the other arm out too. But I can always come back. Nothing is required here. Always remember that. Let's take 3 more breaths in Warrior 3. Gently, gently rising tall. Shake out those Warrior 3 legs. Now, if you're at home or wherever you are watching this video, you could always just turn around and do the same pose on the other side of the body without ever moving your chair. I am going to move my chair though, so that if you're watching and still trying to get the gist of this pose, you might have a better idea of what we're doing. So I'm going to move my chair over to the other side so I can do this pose on the other side of the body. So again, the leg closest to the chair stays on the floor. The other toes step slightly behind. Engage the abdominals, rise up to your tallest self as you inhale. And on the exhale, hinge forward from the hips. You do not have to take your chest beyond parallel to the ground, okay? Even if you're able to, Warrior 3 is about finding balance and finding that maybe that parallel level to the ground. It's not about reaching to the floor. Maybe I'll take that free hand out to the side. Maybe I'll let go of the chair, but I could always come back. Two more breaths. And then gently, gently, we come right back up and we shake out those legs. Wonderful balance work, gang. Now, let's do a little bit here with a forward fold. Let me move my chair once again. In our forward fold, we're gonna come down, and when we get there, let's use a ragdoll bind tonight. Let's hold on to our opposite arm above the elbow. So find your feet firmly planted into the ground beneath you. I'll stand to the side so you can get a side view here. Let's inhale the arms up. If you're standing, put a little bend in the knees as you swan dive down and reach to a forward fold. Now, I'm going to straighten my legs here as much as is comfortable for me. I'm always listening to the body at all times, and I hope you are too. So think about the legs actively working and stretching out, and the spine is just relaxing, but the abdominals are still engaged. Let the head hang loose, let the neck relax, and let's find our ragdoll, holding on to the opposite arm above the elbow. Now relax your ragdoll bind, so whether you're seated or standing, let those arms relax down. Put a little bend in the knees if you're standing. Everybody engage the abdominals and rise up, rise up. And let's bring those arms all the way back down. Forward folds are some of my favorite poses because they stretch out the back of the legs where all of our sit down muscles are, but they also bring some good fluids down to the brain, and they can be a wonderful stress relieving pose. So remember forward folds, gang, but always be mindful if you're working through vertigo, glaucoma, or uncontrolled, that's the key, uncontrolled high blood pressure, then you would not want to put your head below the heart, okay? So we've always got to be smart about us and what we're living with, and we're not passing judgment on those areas. We're just being mindful of what we're living with, okay? So now let's have a seat here on our chair. If you have a yoga strap or a bathrobe tie, or even like a big towel or something, even an old piece of rope from the garage, we're going to use that tool for this next pose. So I'm going to recommend that we sit forward on the chair, 2 feet flat on the ground. Let's take the strap across the middle of one foot, and let's lift that leg up as high as is comfortable. Still sitting tall on my chair, because getting cozy is only going to be hurtful to the spine here. We want to stay upright and in good alignment. Let's inhale, open that leg to the side, and on the exhale, bring it back in. Some of you out there may be able to hook on to your big toe with your peace fingers and stretch that leg out long, and you wouldn't need a strap for this pose. And that's fine. If you don't want to use a strap, you don't have to. But a lot of us don't have arms as long as our legs, or maybe the flexibility in the arms and legs is just not where we need it to be to create that bind and stay lifted. So that's when a strap or a bathrobe tie, even an old necktie, comes in handy. All right, one more time, flowing out to the side with a half wide leg straddle flow. Now let's switch over to the other side. Okay, let's stretch that leg out long. The strap allows us to get that lengthening piece. And then when you're ready, on the inhale, open to the side, exhale, bring it in. Inhaling as we open, exhale, bring it back to the center. Only going as far as is good and challenging for us, okay? Oftentimes at the beginning of our practice, we'll say we're letting go of judgment and competition, even when it's directed toward ourselves. So always speak positively to yourself. You know, we don't want to dwell on, well, maybe my body's not moving the way it used to be in my younger days. No, we're going to get rid of that negative thinking, and we're going to say, this is what my body is doing tonight, and I'm so grateful to be here doing my practice, doing something good and beneficial for this body. That's what we want to focus on. Now bring that leg back in. Now we're going to hold on to the strap here. Earlier, we did a little bit of behind the back action, opening the chest, remember? And we would bind and hold on. Well, all of that was leading us to what is called cow face pose. For the arm part, we can use our strap to make cow face pose more accessible for us if we need it to be. And there's also a leg part as well. So I want to kind of show you this pose in 2 different steps, and then we'll put it all together. So the first part that I want to show you is what the leg options are. So in our cow face pose, the legs part, you could cross one foot over the other just at the ankle. That's a nice, mild option, okay? Another option here is going to be to take one leg over the opposite knee and that can be a little more challenging for us. And I'm just gonna sit here like I'm sitting cross-legged enjoying a coffee with one of my girlfriends here. So, but I will sit up tall and active, don't forget about that. Now, the next part is I'm gonna try to squeeze my lower legs together with my knees crossed. So I'm gonna squeeze everything together. And if I'm able, I might take that top leg and the foot that's connected to it and wrap it, around the back of my leg. I gotta tell you, I have not been able to do that before, so this is a surprise even to me. So I'm gonna tell you, wrapping that back foot around is not always accessible for me. So I was surprised by it tonight, but if it's not happening for you, don't be disheartened, because sometimes the body is more willing than on other days. So this is another option too, to wrap that foot around the back of your supporting leg, or even just squeeze everything together if that foot won't wrap around, okay? No worries, lots of options. And then, of course, we'll do it this way, and then we'll come back around and do it on the other side. The arm part is gonna be behind the back, so I'm gonna stand up and show you what we will be doing from a seated position. So I've got my strap. I'm gonna put it up into my right hand and reach high and bend at the elbow, trying to connect with my shoulders again. Then I'm gonna walk my other arm up from the south, walk it up. You might be able to touch fingers. You might be able to hook fingers like two back scratchers. And we might not be able to connect at all, and that's okay. We're just gonna hold on to the strap. So I can tell you from experience, on this side of the body, I am more able to connect my hands. But let me show you, when I try it on the other side, and I bend at the elbow, following the same directions, this arm does not really want to go as far. So that's when I hold on to my strap, because it keeps my chest open and it keeps my hands in good alignment behind the back, okay? So I just want to show you, even for yoga instructors, sometimes one side of the body is more flexible than the other. That's very common, okay? So let's do this. Let's put them all together, gang. Decide what level of legs you want to do, whether you're crossing at the ankle, crossing at the knee, hugging everything together, maybe wrapping that top foot around the back of that supporting leg. So decide which option you want to do, and I'm going to suggest that we all start off with the left foot crossing at the ankle or crossing over the knee, so that we're all talking about the same thing here. So find the leg option that you want to use, whatever that may be. I'm going to try to get a little more familiar with this behind the leg tuck. And then I'm going to put the strap into my opposite arm of my top knee. So for me, that's going to be my right arm here, and for all of us. So I'm going to take the strap and just put it behind me, and I'm going to lift my right arm skyward. Now, I'm going to take that elbow and I'm going to reach that top arm down, trying to connect with my shoulders. I'm going to bring my other arm up from the south, walk it up, and bind with your fingers or bind with the strap, whatever is most accessible for you. And engage the abdominals. This can be very challenging for the shoulders, so let's all listen to the body. If something is not feeling good, please let's ease back, okay? So let's take a few more breaths here. Cow face pose in a seated position. Now when you're ready, lower the bottom arm, lower the top arm, and unwrap the legs. Okay, and we know, because we've been practicing yoga at least 3 times together now, that if we do something on one side of the body, we really ought to do it on the other side as well, unless we're having discomfort or there's an injury perhaps that we're guarding. So let's cross over with the right leg crossing over the left now, or maybe the right knee crossing over at knee level, or maybe you're gonna tuck in with that other leg, just trying to keep everything squeezing together in your cow face pose, okay? Now, take that strap into your left hand this time. Reach that left arm high, sitting up tall, everything is lifted. Bend at the elbow, and let's bring that other arm up from the south. Walk it up. Bind with your fingers or bind with the strap, it's up to you. Now, as you continue to practice cow face, if it turns out that you are able to bind with the fingers on both sides pretty regularly, you don't need to use the strap if you don't need it. So it's a tool that we use for the days when we need them. Feeling nice and open through the chest. A nice stretch for the hips here. 2 more breaths. Cow face pose. Now let's lower the bottom arm, take down the top arm. Okay, so let's just put our strap behind us on our seat, just so it's not too far away. Now, here, let's reach back for chest expansion pose, holding the chest nice and open. Now wrap your arms around a tree trunk here for a nice tree hug. Pulling the abdominals in here to support the back as we're rounding the spine. Now let's come all the way back up right here. Roll the shoulders back. Take that strap out from behind you, and let's put the strap across the bottom of both feet. Now this is going to require us to sit forward on our chair, flex those feet and straighten the legs out to their longest length here, and hold on to your strap like horse reins. Let's inhale, engaging the abdominals. On the exhale, hinging forward from the hips. I like to wrap as I go down so that I've got a little bit more tension there in a good way on the strap. And the further that we go into that hinge, the more we're stretching out the muscles behind the legs, which we know are connected up to those lower back muscles. We want to make sure we're being good and hinged forward from the hips with good spinal alignment from the shoulders down to the hips. Now when you're ready, let's inhale, lift up, unwrap your strap, take it away from the bottom of your feet, and let's slide back to a more sturdy position on the chair. And let's just fold the strap in half. It doesn't have to be perfect. Inhaling the arms up to shoulder height, engage the abdominals, and on our exhale, starting below the belly button, let's begin to twist our trunk toward either side of our chair. We're going to do both sides. Gently come on back. Relax those arms for a moment. Inhale tall. On the exhale, turn the head gently to look over one shoulder. Inhale as we look up on a slight diagonal as a bird looks out of its nest. Exhaling back down, and then bring the head back to the center. Let's do the same on the other side. Let's inhale. On the exhale, a gentle, gentle turn of the head. On the inhale, a little look up on the diagonal. Exhaling down, turning that head back to the center. Let's pick up the strap again. Let's inhale the arms up to shoulder height, engage the abdominals, and this time we're going to turn to the other side. Again, the twist starts low below the belly button. We're always nice and tall before we twist. Elongation before rotation. That's going to help keep our back safe. Now let's come all the way back to the center, slowly unwinding with those same strong trunk muscles. Go ahead and put your strap over to the side. If you want to make your way down to the ground here, you're certainly welcome to do so. If you want to stay in your chair for this last part of the class called Shavasana, you're certainly welcome to. Shavasana translates to corpse pose, so we are trying to be still and quiet and very peaceful. Now, while we're sitting here or lying here in Shavasana, we will have thoughts come into the mind, and we're going to acknowledge them briefly and then let them float on by like a cloud in the sky. So let's just come into Shavasana with an open mind and an open heart without expectations, and let's just observe how we're feeling, maybe any emotions that bubble up or thoughts, pictures in our mind's eye. We never really know what Shavasana has in store for us. So let's just be still, be peaceful and quiet, and let's just enjoy the peace and quiet at the end of our practice. So find a comfortable seat. It doesn't have to be ladylike, ladies. You know, it doesn't have to be any particular form. Let's just relax for this short time in our practice. let's begin to slowly awaken these bodies from this balancing, mindful rest, where we choose to be peaceful and quiet and still to balance out all of the physical work that we've shared here today. Let's start to invite small movements into the fingers and the toes, gently waking them. And let's start to breathe a little more deeply, breathing good, nourishing oxygen into all parts of this physical body. And once again, we notice our hearts are shining with gratitude, grateful for this shared practice, grateful for the time that we've set aside to devote to our own practice, and always grateful for this body and this breath that carries us everywhere we go. Now, for those who are on the ground or on the floor for Shavasana, lying down, let's take a moment to hug the knees in toward the chest, perhaps gently rocking the knees side to side, massaging the back. And then when you're ready, carefully roll the entire body over to one side on the floor. As each of us here are breathing in all of the many jewels of our practice, and we're exhaling all of the warmth, kindness, encouragement, and love that we have for each other, for the whole world around us, and for ourselves. And for those lying down, when you're ready, with our eyes still closed, let's make our way back up to an easy seated posture. And I invite each one of us to bring the palms together at heart center in Anjali Mudra, a symbol of gratitude and respect. Let's go ahead and start to rub those hands vigorously, warming them. And let's use our warm hands to gently cover our closed eyes. That amazing heat that we find there is inviting our eyes to slowly open, and we bring our hands to rest upon our laps. Clear minds, kind words, compassionate hearts. Namaste.